So today we'll continue with our advanced, what's it called? Advanced programming concepts. So let me share my screen. Okay. So we can see my screen, right? Hello, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So thank you. So today we'll be talking about advanced arrays. You'll be like, Ridwan, we still want to talk about arrays again today. Yes, we want to. And we are not just talking about arrays, we are talking about the advanced arrays. So in the first section, if you remember, where we started our programming sections, we talked about arrays. If you remember, oh wait, am I recording? Yes. So if you remember, that was during the introduction to data structures, whereby we talked about arrays, we talked about objects. So we talked about arrays, and I told you, like, okay, let me use the var. So I told us that time, like, arrays are something like this, where you have a list of numbers. It can contain strings. It can contain Boolean, true or false. So it's just a list of, arrays are just a list of items, So, and the way they are written is just like this. They are square brackets that we can put whatever we want inside of it. And you assign these square bracket items to a variable. And we have a variable declared with var here. Though I told us henceforth we won't be using var because var is old school. So we want to live in the moment. We want to live in the present. So these are arrays. And we also talk about the fact that we can do, some operations on arrays. And one of the things we can do is we can iterate over these items and perform some operations on them. And we have our guide, which is for loop. So we can do for loop, whereby you can do something like for let I equals 0 initially, I is less than the array.length. So we want to iterate over this, then increment I on after every loop. Then we have something that we can perform here, whatever operations we want to perform. And later, I think last week, I introduced us to a new method of looping, which is using for each. And if you remember, the way we use for each is we do array.forEach. So inside this for each, we write a callback function. So here I can say take each item inside that array, then perform, then I'm writing ES5 in with ES6. Then perform whatever operation I want you to perform with that particular item, and do the same for all items. So today we are going to learn a few more, but before we do that, I just need to refresh our memory because it's been long. One week is long enough to forget whatever week. But sometimes you can, sometimes people will be like, what did you eat yesterday? I don't remember again because yesterday has been long. So let me just refresh our memory so that we'll be able to like understand what I'm trying to introduce to us. And you will understand that these new things I'm bringing them because I want to make our life, beautiful, easier. So that when we are writing our code, we don't have to like, be keeping the mental state of what is I, what is an index. You can just write your code on one line, and before you know it, everything is done. Life is beautiful. So today, I'm going to introduce us to some new concepts of, doing some operations on arrays, getting some things done. And trust me, at the end of the day, you'll be like, wow, this thing is so easy. Wow, this thing is so straightforward. Then you'll be like, wow, Ridwan, why you know that this thing exists? Why are you teaching me how to do how to take the long route? But don't worry, I have a reason for everything. This training, I'm training us because you come across a lot of things out there, and you don't want to feel somehow when you come across something and you be like, but Ridwan proved like he has taught us a lot of things, but at the end of the day, I've never seen this before. So that is why I started with the old ways, like showing us how to do things the old ways, then telling you these are the new ways to do those things. Meanwhile, these new ways, these are the problems they are coming to solve. Not just that we are just learning. We are not just learning. We have a reason for learning. For every operation we perform, there's always a reason for that. Because in programming, whatever you want to do, you surely have an objective in mind. Like, okay, this is what you want to achieve. This is a particular problem you want to solve. So this is how you go about solving that particular problem. So that is why I'm showing us different ways of doing things. So it won't be like, Ridwan just tell me only Earth exists in the planet. Meanwhile, you go elsewhere, they tell you we have nine planets, they tell you we have Jupiter, we have Mars. But Ridwan just showed you just one way of doing things. So that is why I'm bringing the old ways so that because it is very common, you come across a lot of code bases and they use the old syntaxes and it is possible for you to manage those code bases. It is possible. But then you come across some code bases that they contain new syntaxes and you would want to know those things too. So that is why I'm showing us this. So let's do a refresh. Let's say we have, I'm going to delete this. Let's say we have a list of numbers. So I'm going to call that numbers. And inside this, we have an array and we have some numbers like 1, 4, 6, we have 34. What number can we have? We can have 67. Oh, sorry, I can just leave it like that. So we have a list of numbers. Let's say we want to multiply every single number in this array. We want to multiply every single number by 2. If you remember, I'm just trying to refresh our brains, or refresh our memory. Sorry for that word. So if you remember, we can do something like, we have numbers, we can do new numbers. So we can do new numbers equals numbers, which is the array. Then for each, and you remember, this reads like English. For each number inside that numbers, so I can say for each number, you can call this any name, but I'm just using number because it will make my code readable and I can understand easily. For each number, perform this operation. So I'm using our arrow function here because this is a callback function. For each number, perform this operation. And what is that operation? The operation is for each number, multiply each number by 2. So that is what I want to perform because I want to multiply each item in this array, in these numbers. I want to multiply everything, each one of them by 2. So at the end of the day, I'm planning to get 2, then 8, then 12, then 68, and then here I'm expecting to get, I think, 123 or so from this. Oh, okay, that should be 134. So, and I've written my code this way. So if I do console.log this, what am I going to get? If you remember, we did this last week. So if I do console.log new numbers, so let's log this to the console and let's see what we are going to get. So we just want to test if our code is actually performing the way we are expecting it to perform. So if I do this now in my console, oops, I got undefined. Really? Why is that? Well, it is because this is not how for each works. I know you are surprised. For each is just saying like, I'm going to loop over this array or the elements inside this array, and I am going to multiply each number in that array or each item in that array by 2. So once I multiply this, I'm not doing anything else. And you don't expect it to do anything else because you are not returning anything. You are not returning any value. So for each is saying, I'm going to take this array, which is this number array, and I'm going to take each number or each item inside that array, And once I take that item, I am going to multiply each one by 2. So if we look at the number array now, here, these numbers, if we look at it, we see that it's still the same list of items we are getting back. So nothing has been done. So it's still the same thing. So we are just randomly multiplying the numbers by 2, but we are not really storing it anywhere. So if we actually want to get the results, then we have to do something like this. So we just have to, like, let's say we have to find another variable. So we can say double equals empty array. So we want to save the new values inside this empty array. So what we are going to do here is we are going to take that variable double, then we'll say inside that double, push whatever the new value is, push it inside. And what is the new value? The new value is multiply each of these numbers by, somebody is talking. Please, let's try and mute ourselves. Let me just do it from here. So here we are pushing, and if you remember, this push is a method on arrays, and double is an empty array. So what we are doing here is we are saying, like, you know what, this is going to be a constant new number. So this new number, take this numbers array which contains 1, 4, 6, 3, 34, 67. Then for each one of those items, for each item, perform this operation. And what is the operation? So we are iterating over these numbers. So we are looking through each one of them after the other. So we are saying like, take one here. So it's just like take one, and once you take one, so here is going to be 1 times 1, 1 times 2. And once you get the result, which is going to be 2, then push whatever result you get into this array here, which is an empty array. Please, let's mute ourselves. I think I don't have to allow. So we are saying that whatever the result is, push it here. So it's going to, for the first time, it's going to push 2. Then the second time is going to look, it's going to come back like, okay, take the number for each one of them, which is the second number. The second number is 4. So take 4, and we have our operation, which is 4 times 2. So in this case, 4 times 2 is going to be what? It's going to be 8. So we are saying 4 times 2, which is 8. So push the result here is going to push 8. Then it's going to come again, take 6, which is the number. So it's going to say, okay, 6. Then here is going to be 6 times 2, and we have 12. So 12, push it to this double. So it's going to, if you have 1 million numbers inside this array, it's going to perform that operation 1 million times and giving you back the new value. So that is what for each is doing. So we are pushing, let me just undo everything back so that we have the initial. Okay, so here we are pushing. Okay, let me copy this, and if I copy it into the console, I will get error because I need to refresh. So here I'm saying, so if I copy the new code we've written, so if I press enter now, oops, I got undefined back. But if, oh sorry, I need to console log double. So if I check double, you see that we got new array. If I check the original array, which is numbers, you see that we have something different. So what we have in double is multiplied. Sorry, what we have in numbers is just like, multiplying them by 2, and we have what we have in double. So which is 2 times 1, 2 times 4, 8, 2 times 6, 12, 2 times 34, 68, 2 times 63, 134. So that is what we have in that. And another example I can use, I'm just trying to refresh our memory. So another example I can give for the for each is, let's say we have a function, and let's call our function for each. for each array. So I just give it a name. For each array, the name of function. Then inside this function, if you remember, this is just the old way of writing a function. But then I just want to show us something so that we'll be able to like understand the old ways of doing things and the new ways we are going to learn. So let's say we have some numbers here like 34, we have 67. So inside there, so I have these numbers, and like we did for double, we can just say we want to have where we want to have copy items inside there. So I can say this is an empty array. So inside this function, I want you to take the item. Then for each item, I want you to perform this operation. So what is the operation? The operation is I want you to do what? Copy items, push item plus 5. So what I'm saying here basically is, I have this items array which has 3 numbers inside of it. Then I am saying I have another array which is copy items. So I want to copy the new items. Whatever operation I perform on them, the result I want it to be inside of this copy items. So I'm saying take items, for each item perform this operation. So for each item, then push item plus 5 into copy items. So if I return this copy item in my function, because if you write a function, you need to return something. So if I return this now, so if we run our function, which is for each array function, so let's see what we are going to get. So I'm going to copy this, then I'll paste it in my console. Let's see what we get. So I run that, you see that I got, so this is basically saying like item, which is the first item, 12 plus 5 is what? 17. I have it here. Then it takes the second item, 34 plus 5, 39. Then it takes the third item, 67 plus 5, 72. So if you have 1 million items inside, 1 million numbers inside this array, it's going to perform this operation you define here. And it's going to store it where? It's going to store it here. So that is for each. So the array for each, something like this. Let's say this is the syntax. So for each, you do array dot for each, then you perform whatever function you want to perform. So you can perform the operation here, which is a function, and this function is going to take one item and is going to return back, this. So it's going to return back whatever operation you want it. It's going to perform whatever operation you want it to perform, then you can return it. So this is a callback function, which we already know when we are dealing with the DOM, whereby we talked about adding event listeners, adding callback functions. So this is a callback function. So if for each, array.forEach, this method, for each method, calls the provided function once for each element of the array. So it's going to call this function, whatever function you write here, like we've written here. Where is it? Okay. Whatever function we write here, it's going to call it once for each element of the array. So the provided function may perform any kind of operation on the elements of the given array. So this callback function, it calls whatever operation you want it to perform for each of the arrays, and it's going to go from the first array item to the second array item to the third array item, and so on and so forth. Then the elements, or let me just put elements here instead of items. So the elements, is the parameter that holds the value of the element being processed at that particular moment. So for example, we have 12 here. So at that moment, element is going to be 12. So at that particular time, 12 is being processed. Then The next time it's going around, it picks 34, then it picks 67. So the return value of this method is always undefined. That is why initially when we ran our what was it called, our function without adding this double, without doing anything, we got undefined. So this method may, sometimes I may not sometimes change the original array, provided, as it operates upon it. So it all depends on the functionality of the argument function. So I think we can just do the last. Let me give us another example, which is going to be the last example. I'm just trying to refresh our memories from what we did last week, because I gave us exercises and I got some feedbacks back. I was really happy with some, but I'm still checking others too. But then I noticed that maybe we are still, we are yet to understand fully what this for each method is doing. So let's give us another example. Let's say we want to calculate the square of every element of an array. So let's say we have an array. Let's say we have some items, and we have, let's say, in mathematics, they will tell you what is the square number. We have so number, we have 3 numbers. Then what do you think will be the square root of the 3 numbers, blah, 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 or the square of the 3 numbers? So let's write a program for that. So we can just do, we need our copy, or maybe our answer, or new items. Okay, let's do new items. No, let's do copy, because I've been using the variable new items. So you can call it any name you want. So I have, an empty array. So that is where I want my new, what was it called? My new results to be, my new arrays to be. So I can just write my for each, coming. So I can just write, sorry. So here, to iterate over and get the square of each element, I will do items dot for each. So I'm saying, on take this array, whatever items you have inside, all the items, for each one of them, perform this operation. So I'm saying I'm going to write our old ways of writing functions so that we can actually understand. So take each item, then perform this operation on each item. So what is the operation I want to perform? I want you to multiply each number by itself. So that is square. So multiply this by itself. But after multiplying, what do I want you to do? So let's do let answer equals this. So after multiplying, what do I want you to do? I want you to push the answer into where? Into my new array, which is copy array. So whatever you do there, push the answer there. Then let's console.log and let's see what our new. Let me just copy this into the console. So if I copy this into the console and I run that, I got. So if I check, let's check our items first. Our items remain the same, which is 1, 29, and 47. Then if I check my copy array now, what do we have? We have 1, which is 1 times 1, which is 1. We have 29 times 29, which is 841. We have 47 times 47, which is 2,000 and 2,209. So that is that about for each, which I think by now we understand what for each is and how we can use it to, perform some operations on our array. So this for each is much more easier than you using for let I equals this, blah blah blah. So that is what for each is just trying to, like, make our life easier. But then, so today's topic, we have some beautiful guys. So I call them, 3 wise guys. So who are they, or what are they? They are called map. We have map, we have filter. Or let me just, before I comment them out, we have map. So we have filter, and we have reduce. Wow. Ridwan, what is this? Yeah. So these are the three guys we'll be learning today. And trust me, these three guys, like I call them three wise guys. So they are here to make our life beautiful. They are here to make us write readable codes. They are here to make us, like, instead of writing thousands lines of code, you can just put it on a straight line and you are done. So within, if they tell you like read one, okay, I want you to calculate the square root of blah 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 with a with JavaScript, with just one line, I'm done with the solution. So instead of writing for each, instead of but don't worry, I'm not introducing something new. It's something we know before. It's just like a little introduction of one or two or three syntaxes, and we are done. So life is beautiful, and at the end of the day, I will show us what chaining is in JavaScript. Chaining is just like you chaining some functions together to get a result, and life is beautiful. So today, from what I've learned from the assignments I gave to us, I understand, like, most people don't really understand um, the functions. What I mean by the methods, for example, for each. So today I'm going to show us, I'm going to like compare and contrast. So I'm going to do the same thing in for loop. So I'll do the same thing with for each, and I will show us how to use map to get the same answer. So today we'll be talking about map, filter, and reduce. So the big three array options, operations. So I will say that these three guys are probably the most important methods that you will use in your day-to-day JavaScript development journey. They are super useful. So they are very, very important to know. Trust me, you would want to know it. Living in 2020 and you want to be a programmer, you would really want to know it. So they are super useful. So just try your best to like get familiar with them. They are not very difficult. Because the first time I saw them, I was just like, I don't want to learn something new. But then, ever since I, get myself familiar with them, I can't do without them. Trust me. And, so anytime you think of doing some sort of a loop, most likely you want to do one of these three. You want to use one of these three. So wrapping your head around this three method is an important step towards being able to write a clean functional code. Because I could remember last week we talked about pure functions, writing functional codes, and taking care of side effects. So these three guys are going to open the doors to the vastly powerful techniques of functional and reactive programming. Don't worry, we'll still get to the React aspect, the React section. So it also means that you never ever want to write a for loop again. Because trust me, even till date, I'm still having problem with for loop. Because sometimes you just have to keep the mental, what's it called? You have to keep the mental update of what your code is doing. And sometimes, someone like me, sometimes I'm lazy when it comes to that. So I know you are curious, so let's just dive in. So we are going to start off with map. So let me just comment these guys out. So we are going to start off with map. And okay, so I can do this. So with map, we are going to start off with map. And the way we do it, let's say we want to iterate over items in an array. The way we do it above, using for each to like double these items, for example, or maybe, okay, this particular, let me just copy it down so that I will compare and contrast. So we have here, so the way we do it here, like trying to double the items, the numbers, and pushing it into this double array. So you see that we multiply the each number by 2, then we are pushing it into double. We can also get the results using map. So how do we use map? Well, to use map, we can do something like this. So we can do something like, like const map. So I'm going to call this map array. So let me just comment this out so that Won't be confused. So we are using this numbers array. So take this numbers array, then map each number inside the number array and do what? Return number times 2. Oh boy, it looks like for each, right? Yeah, but don't worry, I'll explain the differences. So we have something here, and the way it works is, it always have to return something. That is map. Map always have to return something. So the difference between map and for each is that for each just, let me uncomment this. For each just looks over the array, this array, and it just does whatever function, whatever operation the function says it should do with the array. While with map, we can do what we can do with for each. So which is looping over each item in the array, then returning a new array. So let me just show you what I mean. So every time this array, this number array, let me comment this out again so that we can differentiate. So this numbers array, every time the array loops, so let's say the first item in the array is what? The first item in the array is 1. So every time it loops, map is going to take the number and is going to return that number, which is 1 times 2. So which is 2. Then it's going to like put that 2 in this map array, this variable map array. Then it goes to the next number, which is 4. So it's going to multiply whatever operation we do here, which is multiply 4 by 2, which is 8. It's going to store it inside this map array. Then it's going to perform the same step again for 6, the same step again for 34, the same step again for 67. It's going to take 67, which is the number, and it's going to map this, which is 67 multiplied by 2, and it's going to store all the new arrays inside map array. So that is why we need to return it. So let's just console the log map array, and let's see what we have. So let's do console.log. I know you have a lot of questions, but don't worry. I'm going to either I answer the questions in this exercise or, with my examples, or after the class, you can just, ask your questions, and trust me, I'm going to answer each one of your questions. So let's say we have the numbers and we run this particular code. So if we do this, what do we get? We get the same thing back, which is 2, 8, 12, 68, 134. So that's perfect. So that is that. And if you notice that I'm refreshing my browser, and it's because I'm using our new guy, which is constant let. So you understand how const work. So I have to refresh my browser just so I have a fresh copy of my documents. So looking at these two, looking at this, so looking at this and this. So looking at this, you can see it, and this, which one would you go for? I'm sure you would want to go for the second one because it saves you a lot of stress, trying to like write codes. So it seems like both of them, the map and the for each, are doing the same thing. But there is a critical difference between map and for each. And whenever you want to do a simple loop or probably perform some actions on an array, you would want to use map instead of for each. Because with for each, the operation may do nothing. You can just have your code and it's doing nothing. For example, we can do for each like, let me just delete this console log. So you can do for each like this. It's not doing anything, without any operation. And it's not going to like, you can leave it completely blank. Or probably you can do some console.log, because all for each cares about is to iterate over the collection of items in an array. So which is going to, is going to be like one by one. It's going to go over them, iterate over them, loop over them, you know, and apply whatever operations we define inside this block of, you know, of code. So you're going to apply that operation on each element. But map, on the other hand, has a restriction on the operation. So it expects the operation to return an element. So with for each, you can have multiple lines of code with for each, doing all those crazy stuff you want to, like, you want to do with your code. But with map, you always have a return element, a return value. So the map iterates, or the map looks over a collection of elements, applying the operation on each element, then finally storing the result of each invocation of the operation into another collection, which is map array. So in other words, map transforms the array, the initial array, and stores the new array into a variable without changing the original array. So it creates a new array, which is map array, versus for each, which just does a bunch of unlimited operations on the array. If we want to return a new array, we have to create our own new array. Then after creating our own array, we have to push on that array. So let me just show us a slide, just so we can, because it's something, I think I don't have it here yet, but probably I'll share it with us. So in last section, we talked about, when we are talking about advanced functions, we talked about the idea of side effects. So if we go with for each, we can do a whole bunch of side effects within that function. You can console the log, you can create a new array, you can push to that array, you can even return undefined. You will notice that when we did that, when we did the for each, we are not actually returning anything. So the function is just returning undefined, undefined, undefined. But with map, all these side effects are theoretically gone, and the map have to return something. So let's just say something. Let's say I have my number here. So if I do map array, let me just refresh this. So if I copy this now, let me copy the number to the console. So send. So if I copy this array now without the return keyword, you see that I'm getting undefined, 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 undefined. So right away, we know that we are doing something wrong and we need to return a statement. So if I come back here, now and return something. So if I copy that code, let me copy the number first. So we have the number here. Then if I do this now, I get something back because we are returning something. You see that I got my values back. So as we mentioned in the previous session, we've created a pure function, a function that returns a value. So we have inputs that goes into this function, which are number, and we've now created a pure function that returns a value. So this is just, it's a simple concept and it's an important concept. So we want to keep things acting in an expected way. So we don't want to have a piece of code that lives on a website, let's say for like 6-7 years, and somebody else comes along and they don't actually know your code intimately, because you wrote the code, you know what to put where, but they don't know about the code. So you don't want a situation whereby all of a sudden they will just come into your code and they will get lost, or they will be getting a lot of side effects, a lot of bugs, which they know nothing about because they don't know where it's coming from. Because I've once worked on a project, like, I got to a company, they gave me the project to make some changes to the website. When I got it, I was like, trust me, no developer can work with this code. They're like, why? I said you have two options. The first option is you contact the last guy that developed this website. he knows what he used where. Then he can make changes without effort. The second option is you give me time, enough time to sit down and be reading this code because I don't understand what is happening here. And the third option is either we delete this website totally and start from scratch. So I don't know the kind of relationship the business owner has with the last developer. He said, you know what, which one? I cannot contact the previous developer. What I can do is we can start afresh. So imagine, imagine you spent a lot of money on a son. Let's say you're a business owner and you spent a lot of money on the first guy doing the projects, and someone else has to come and you know you still have to start all over again. So as a developer, you have to consider a lot of things like someone else might come along to manage your code when you are not around, or probably you are working with a team of developers and you don't want to be creating problems for anybody, not just for anybody, even yourself. You coming back later, you have issues because you won't even understand what you've written, and you look like you be like, who did this? Am I the one that wrote this code? So it do happen most times. So most times or all the times you want to write pure simple functions that is, that is easier to read, that has no side effect, and that is what map allows us to do. And the other important thing is that we are not changing the array. The original array stays the same, which is this number array. The original array stays the same. If you check now, if you check numbers, it stays the same. So we are not changing it. So we are not changing the original array. We are just making a copy of it, which is this map array. You see it? So we are not mutating the array. We are just making another copy elsewhere. So I think the last example I can give us is with this mapping of a thing is let's say we have, so this is going to be then we move on to the next guys. Let's say we have const items. Let's say we have a list of items and the number of the items is 1. We have I think we have that the other time 47. So in here I can const, like we do the other time, new copy. I'm just giving it this name, so you can call it whatever name you want. It's going to be take these items, map over it. Then on each item, we are using our ex6 syntax. On each item, take each item and multiply it by itself. So you see this. So if I copy this now, instead of using for each, if I copy this into the console, let me clear this. If I copy this into the console, if I check my items, they remain the same. We have 1, 2, 129, 47. If I check new copy of my items, the one I did with map, you see that we have 1, which is square of each number in that particular array. We can even do, let's rewrite, because I remember we did something the other time where we wrote a function for that array. So let's say we have a function, and this function, let's call it map array function, or map array instead of map array. That's clear. So map array. Then inside there, let's say we have an item or items, and we have 12, 24, 36, and we say, what do we want to do? We want to add 5 to each one of these items. So we can just do add 5. Let's do add 5. Or let me do add 5 equals items dot map, and take each item, reading it like English, take each item and add 5 to each of the items. So once you add 5 to each of the items, I want this function to return a value. And what is that value? Should return whatever add 5 is. So if I copy this function into my console, let's see what we are going to get. So if I do this now, oops, map array has already been declared. This is why I need to refresh my browser to get a new copy of the document. So, because I've been using const. So if I do this now, if I check map array function, So if I run the function, I get 17, 29, 41 back. Why? Because I'm saying take these items, which is 12, 24, 36, then each item should be what? Should be item plus 5. So the first time around is going to be 12 plus 5, gives me 17 back. Then the second time, 24 plus 5, I have 29 back. And the third time, 36 plus 5, which is 41. So that is cool. So when you call map, this map, when you call map on an array, it executes that callback on every element within that array, returning a new array with all of the values that the callback returned. So under the hood, map passes 3 arguments to your callback. The first argument it passes is what? So let's say we have array, then dot map. Then the first argument is going to pass. So it's going to return something. The first argument is going to pass is your current item. The second argument is the array index. And the third item is the entire array. So you can actually read more about this. You can do more research about this and read more about this. So it's going to take this. Why am I writing this? And it's going to return some operations back to you. So let me give us a big example, because we've been using array, and I know the question you have is, what if we have arrays of objects or array of objects? So suppose we have an application that maintains an array of your task for a particular day. So let's say each task is, I have the data here. So I'm going to copy this. Okay. So let me just delete this. So let me just write so that you see that it's not getting this with. So we have, I'm coming, I just want to like minimize these white spaces. Oh, okay. Oops. No. So suppose we have an app that maintains an array of your task for a particular day. So each task is an object. So each task has a name and a duration property. So for example, I have a first task. So I say the name of that task is what? Learn advanced JavaScript. And it's going to take me 2 hours. I have another task, workout, and it's going to take me 1 hour. So I have another task, which is chat on social media, and it's going to take me 2 hours. So I have this particular task. So let's say we want to create a new array with just the name of each task. So we can take a look at everything we've actually done today. So in the past, we talked about for loop, and we talked about for each, and I told us like, for each came to make our life easier instead of using for loop. And later on today, I told us map is here. Instead of using for each, let's start using map. So it's just like me coming to your place today and tell you like, you are drinking only water. Okay, I have something better. I can give you what? Let me give you juice. So I give you juice. You're like, this juice is okay, it's good. Then later, the second day, I just like, you know what? I have another drink for you. So what's the drink? I have tea that is rich in milk and other things like that. So just take it and throw the juice away. So that is what we are doing with for loop, we are doing with for each, we are doing with map. So we learned for loop, like we can loop over array of items. Then later I told us like, you know what guys, instead of we using for loop, which is very, very stressful, can we start using for each? And I showed us the new ways of using for each. Then today I just like, you know what guys, we've been using for each, and I think it is even stressful. And as for me, I'm kind of lazy. Let's start using something that will make our life easier. So, and you're like, what is that thing? It is map. So with this exercise, I'm going to show you how you can use for loop for this. I'm going to show you how you can use for each for this. And I'm also going to show you how you can use map so that you see the differences like, oh, wow. So this is what we are trying to, a particular problem we are trying to solve. And that is why we are using, what is it called? Map. So for each, for for loop. So let me just write for loop. So for loop, if you want to like solve that particular problem, what we can do is we'll say I want to write with for loop now. Let's task name. Let me use camera facing. Task name equals empty array, and with for loop we'll do for let I equals 0, then I is less than task. I've missed this. Task length, then increments on after every loop, and inside there I'll say task name equals, oh no, sorry, that's an array. Task name dot push, then take task I. So I might be 0, it might be 1 dot name. So what this for each is doing is saying for initially we are starting with 0 and check if I is less than task.length. And our task.length is what? 1, 2, 3. We have 3 objects inside that array. So which is 3. So initially 0 is less than 3. Then it's going to run this operation. And what it's doing is it's going to take this array and push something into it. What is it pushing into it? It's going to take tasks. So presently we are at 0 because I is 0. So task I, which is task 0, is what? Task 0, this is task 0, index of 0 is what? The first item, which is 2. The first item dot name, which is what? Learn JavaScript. So it's going to push it to this array. Then it's going to increment I by 1, which is 0 plus 1. It's going to come back again and check. So 0 plus 1 is 1. Is 1 less than 3? Yes. Then do what? Task 1 dot name, and it's going to push it into this array. Then come back again. 1 plus 1, 2. So it's 2 less than 3? Yes. Then do what? Then push task at index of 2. Then push it here and increment it again by 1. So after incrementing, 2 plus 1 is 3. So it's going to be like, is 3 less than 3? No. Then it's not going to perform any other operation and it's going to return whatever we have. So let's do that and let's see what we have in the, what's it called? In the console. So I'm going to copy this task here, paste it in the console. We have this. So if I check task, do we have it? Yes. So I'm going to run this particular code. If I run it here now, what do I get? So I get 3. So if I check task name now, so I've gotten all the list of the tasks I want to do, which is learn JavaScript, work out, chat on social media. So we solve that by using, for loop. So we can also use for each for this particular challenge. So if we want to use for each, how do we do that? Well, to do that, we'll do, so I'm just going to like take this up. So if you want to do for each, we can just do, we have to write this again. Let's task name. So I'm going to write 2 so that it's going to be a different, what is it called? Array. So I'm going to say task, which is the old task, dot for each. And inside there, let's write our old function. So for each, take each task, then do what? Perform this operation on each task. So I'm going to say task name oops, task name. So dot two, which is then task name dot two dot push. We are still using the push. Then task dot name. So you can see that this is kind of simpler than using for loop. So what this is doing is it's saying take the old task, which is, this is our old task. Take this old task, which is array of objects, and perform a for each operation, which means for each item in the array, take each item, then do what? Push task.name to this. So if we check, let's check this inside our console. So if I check now, and if we check task name, we see that we have a list of all the tasks we want to do. So that is that with for each. Now, how can we use for loop, to make our life easier instead of doing it the old ways? With how can we use map? So with map, we can do let task name, let me do task name map equals take the old tasks, then map on each item, take each item, then do what? Return task.name. You can see that this is beautiful. So look at this. I use just one line of code. So if I copy this into the console and I check task name map, task name map, you see that I have the list of items. So it is now left to you to decide. Let me return this back to our new ways of writing JavaScript, which is using arrow functions and also putting it on a single line because we are returning it. So this is just our new ways of writing JavaScript. So we don't need this. So we are saying, okay. So you can see that actually this is also on a single line too. But then this has, before each has some side effect because we are using push. But with map, it's a pure function. It's returning something. So you can see this. So life is beautiful with map. It makes our life easier. So for each and for loop, again, there are a few important differences between the two. Using map, you don't have to manage the state of the for loop yourself. You can operate on the elements directly rather than having to index into the array. You don't have to create a new array and push into it. With map returns the finished product all in one go. So we can simply assign the return value to a new variable like we did here, task name map. You do not, with what's it called? With for each, you don't have to remember to, with map, you need to remember to include your return statement in your callback. Or probably you write it on a straight line like this, which means you don't have to explicitly include the return keyword. So that is that. And keep in mind that the resulting array will always be the same length with the original array. Because in the original array, we have 3. And here too, what do we have? We have 3. So, all right. I think that is that for map. So in case you need to rewatch this video